Hi again, everybody, and a happy Wednesday night to you, and welcome back to another Facebook Live show. I'm Greg Blanchard. Wonderful to have you with us, and hope you're having a good week so far. And certainly some excitement in the air as we get set for the return of racing action here in Ontario in just over a week. We'll have plenty of qualifying racing coming up this weekend as well. So we'll talk about that on the show tonight with three good guys that are going to join us, our special guests on this edition of COSA TV. And it's coming up next. And welcome back to this edition of COSA TV. Again, Greg Blanchard, wonderful to have you on board tonight and looking forward to this evening's show. We've got Corey Callahan joining us from south of the border and from right here in Ontario. Drivers Travis Henry and Jay Harris, and they're standing by to join us in just a moment. We've got some trivia along the way. We have a poll question right off the top, though, that we want to get to. And here's the question we're putting your way tonight. With teletheaters closed throughout Ontario and spectators not permitted at live racing, at least at the beginning of the return of racing, how likely are you to sign up for an HPI bet account if you haven't already done so? Will you be certain to do it? Very likely to do it? You're not sure yet, or you won't be signing up for an HPI bet account? So you can play along and watch the racing from home, at least in the short term here in the province of Ontario, as we get set to begin live racing again in just over a week. So let us know what you think. You can fill out the answer in our comments section. The poll should pop up on your Facebook feed tonight as well. So looking forward to checking back in with that question throughout the night. We'll recap the answers at the end of the show. Again, we've got some trivia coming your way tonight to test your harness racing knowledge as well. But time right now to join our special guests and welcome them in. Again, joining us tonight from Northern Delaware, Corey Callahan. Great to have Corey with us. And from just down the highway in Guelph and Embro, we've got Jay Harris and Travis Henry. Guys, great to have you with us tonight. Hey, Corey, let's start with you, as you're the furthest afield tonight joining us. Great to have you with us. How are things going in Delaware right now? What's the prognosis? And I know you're a guy that does a lot of your racing in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, two jurisdictions who've yet to give a definitive time for the return of racing.
Well, actually, we just got good news today about Jersey. We are qualifying on Friday at Gateway, Saturday at the Meadowlands. I think, I'm not sure, Sunday at Gateway, Monday at Magical Acres, a couple different farms. So we have 4 or 5 qualifying days lined up, and we're supposed to start racing next Friday night, June 5th. So, everybody's really excited about that. We've got a group chat going on right now, and everybody seems pumped. And Delaware is, they were kind of one of the early ones, I guess, to get cleared. And they're going to start on June 15th. But it's going to be three nights a week. And I think there's only going to be 9 races a night just because that's what the paddock can hold. And that's kind of the way they're starting.
Good. What have you been doing to keep yourself busy, first of all, and I'm sure 4 young children go a long way in that department. But what else have you been doing with racing on hold?
Yeah, I mean, my poor wife is gonna miss me dearly. I know that. I've said this before. Teachers do not make enough money. This homeschooling is god awful. I mean, my daughter, she's 9, so she's in like 3rd grade. She's pretty good about it. She goes and does her work. My son, he's in 1st grade, and I mean, like, every day he's got about 45 minutes of work to do, and it's all day getting it done, just like hounding on him. But yeah, I mean, we've got a little farm here, so the farm's looking good. I've had plenty of time to do a lot of that stuff, and now that we're getting ready to start racing, the honeydew list is getting a little longer with not enough time to do it. But we've stayed busy with it.
Good stuff. And I know your wife loves the mustache. We're already getting some great comments on that tonight as part of the show as well. So yeah, leave your comments for us and questions if you've got any for the guys. Nice up close look at it there. Jay, what about yourself? You're used to traveling all over, driving at all kinds of different racetracks in Ontario. So to be to have to be just sitting on the sidelines waiting. What's that been like for you?
Oh, it's been brutal for me.
I've said this
It's an
before.
adjustment. So yeah, just not having anything to do at night and you can't do anything. It's very weird to sit home and do nothing. I'm binge watching TV and I don't like that. So I've been crazy. But I've been in the barn working in the mornings, training some horses, and then I take my dog hiking, keeping busy.
Yeah. And what have you been binge watching? Any recommendations?
I did 2.5 Men start to finish. And I just finished Chicago PD and Chicago Fire, so I like them both.
Good stuff. Travis, you're a big Borat fan. I know you've been watching a lot of that, but what else have you been doing to keep yourself not only entertained, obviously, but just trying to keep yourself hands-on? Obviously, you've got the farm there in Embro that you're looking after day to day as well.
Yeah, I do a little bit of that. Obviously, we have a 1-year-old kid too. He keeps me busy, so he's starting to pull himself up and get into everything. So that's fun. And yeah, we just go to the barn every day, and then whatever at night. Either lately it's been cutting the grass every 2 or 3 days, and then whatever else.
Yeah. And I know qualifying racing getting set to go this weekend at several different venues. So there'll be 4 qualifying sessions alone at Mohawk Park. You guys going to have some horses ready to go this weekend, or what's the schedule looking like for some of the horses you have?
We're taking 4 to train Saturday. We have one that raced the Thursday that they cancel or whatever, the last day of racing, so he can't qualify, I guess. So but I'm going to try and get him in to qualify whenever we can. And the other 3, one's a baby, and then the other 2 are just need to be finished off. They went in 2.8 the other day, so they just need a couple fast miles and they'll be ready to go.
And do you have one that's catching your eye at this point in time in terms of the youngsters as you look ahead to the stake season?
Well, we only have 2 babies, but the Better Than Cheddar filly, obviously, she's probably. I wish I would have trained her earlier. Maddie was always went with her because that's kind of her horse. But I went with her the other day, and I said I wish I would have went with her earlier because she actually trained really well, and she's not very nice in the barn to deal with. So I said I could have dealt with her easier in the barn if I would have trained her before, sort of thing. But yeah, she's really the best one. Our other 2-year-old we had to shut down for a couple weeks. She had a big ankle after training, so other than that, she's nothing major, but
Good stuff. Well, we've got, as mentioned again, Jay Harris, Travis Henry, Corey Callahan joining us tonight. And Corey, for you, really meteoric rise. When you started driving, it didn't take you long to really work your way up to the top level. You've become a regular on the Grand Circuit as well. In fact, so successful, you have a bobblehead. One of the few drivers in the sport that has a bobblehead. How did this come about, and were you happy with the likeness?
Yeah, the bobblehead came out really great. I still actually there's a guy down the road that I get hay from, and he still calls me Mr. Bobblehead. And I have family in Australia, same thing. They're like, oh, that's bobblehead. So yeah, I mean, I guess it is what it is. But they did a good job with it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's got to be flattering though to have that, and so it speaks volumes to where you've arrived in the sport. And one of the horses that really I think propelled you early on, and I think you would agree was a trotter named Goo Goo Gaga. And just a wild story behind this guy. He was a bit of a freak of nature. He was sired by a horse named Cam's Rocket, who was a pacing bred stallion. And just take us back to 2012 and when you first got associated with this trotter.
Yeah, he was really cool. I remember when Richard Hands was first bringing him along. He told me, he said, I've got this awesome trotter. And I was like, oh yeah, who's he by? And he said, he's Cam's Rocket. And I was like, come on, man, you got some Amish horse. Like, what are you doing? He said, okay, fine, yeah, you'll see. And he was right. I mean, he won a couple races early on. I think he went 6 for 6 as a 2-year-old. And I didn't drive him then. Jim Moran was driving him down there at Ocean Downs. He won 56 flats, had a track record in an absolute, I mean, there was like a hurricane coming in. It was crazy winds. And I think that record still stands. And then, you know, I picked him up at 3, and it was a lot of fun. You know, I mean, there were big time guys trying to buy him. And well, they have since now bought him. He sold him last year to Sweden because he's had such success over there as a stallion. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's fun when you can be the giant slayer and, you know, with some just, you know, hillbilly horse. So, but he was a class act.
Yeah, quickly set the stage for us that year in the edition of the Beal Memorial at Pocono Downs. And we're going to get a look at that in a moment. And it was a record performance for the trotter at that time. Set the stage or the scene for us going into that race.
Yeah, so in the elimination, I moved him to the front on Storm and Norman, and he won that day. And it was a world record, 151-3 for a 3-year-old trotting colts on a 5/8. And the next week, same thing. I moved him to the. I remember seeing Dave Pallone in the paddock earlier, and he goes, "Well," he said, "I don't think there's any shot you can lose this race after what I saw from that monster last week." And you know, same thing. Moved him to the lead. He won in 50 and 4, and you know, it was the first time ever a mile under 51 for a trotter on a 5/8. So it was awesome. Jim Baviglia's call is still the best. I love it.
For sure. Well, let's take a look at it now. 2012. This is the Earl Beal Memorial Final, and we'll throw it to the call, and we'll have more to talk about following the replay.
The Trotters have reached the backstretch, and they are underway. Nothing but class made a break at the start. Magic Tonight firing at the pylon. Storm and Norman even better on the outside. Storm and Norman to the front. Magic Tonight a close second. Goo Goo Gaga slides into a hole third right in front of Frostbite's K. Then it's Lightning Storm. Uncle Peter parked out for the moment sixth. Then Little Brown Fox at the back, my MVP, and Nothing But Class is back on stride. Storm and Norman takes him to the quarter in 27-1. It's Storm and Norman out in front now for Dave Pallone. Goo Goo Gaga making his move from third now for Callahan, going first over and sweeping right by Storm and Norman, who lets him pass. Also on the move on the outside, Lightning Storm staying in fourth there. Magic Tonight following the cover is Uncle Peter, who's got the good late kick. Frostbite's K is sixth. On the outside as well there, Little Brown Fox in the back. Nothing But Class in my MVP, the half, 55-2, 28-1 second panel. Fractions faster than they were last week for Goo Goo Gaga. He looks good out there by a length of 3/4. Storm and Norman trying to catch up to him in the pylons and getting closer once again. A big gap back to Magic Tonight. Uncle Peter now going 3 wide right by Lightning Storm, and Uncle Peter is moving up third, but Goo Goo Gaga is still there by 2. 3/4, 122-3, 27-1 third panel. Goo Goo Gaga by a length and a half. Storm and Norman not done. He's getting closer on the inside. Further back to Uncle Peter third. At the top of the stretch, Goo Goo Gaga turns for home now. All out is Storm and Norman. Goo Goo Gaga still there by a length. Storm and Norman is coming up on the inside, but Callahan knows he's got it. Goo Goo Gaga by a length. impossible. Goo Goo Gaga. Second, Stormin' Norman further back.
World record performance at the time of 150 and 4, and beat a very good group as well, and did it fairly easily. So Corey, you're about 6 years really into your driving career at this point in time, and how much did a horse like that mean to you at that point?
You know, I mean, that meant a lot. You know, at that time, I wasn't really driving horses for, you know, Boot and Shane or Tactor or Jim Campbell or, you know, any of those, you know, big name guys. So, you know, it was to have a horse like that and, you know, show that you have the confidence to get them there. I mean, it definitely helps you a lot.
All right, let's go to our first trivia question of the night. Now, Corey, you're sitting around the $93 million mark in career earnings as a driver, so it won't be long before you join that very elite $100 million club. We want to know, how many drivers are there currently in that $100 million club? And if you think you know the answer, leave a comment for us. Just take a guess if you don't know it, and again, we'll recap the questions and answers a little bit later in the show. Joined again by Jay Harris, Travis Henry, and Corey Callahan. Great to have you all with us tonight. Travis, getting back to you, it's a real family operation at your place. Wife Maddie and you work together day to day there. And you had a new foal arrival, the pair of you, not that long ago, who's really been blowing it up on social media. His name's Kingston. I think we've got a photo or two of him. How's he been doing?
He keeps me busy. He's a weapon. He's like he goes 100 miles an hour all day long until he sleeps, and then once he wakes up, he goes another 100 miles an hour, and now he's crawling on things and climbing, and it's just you got to have your eye on him all at all times. That's for sure.
Yeah, and shocking, it looks like he likes the horses.
I don't think he's gonna have a choice.
And it looks like the horses take to him too.
Yeah, they're actually pretty good. The one he was riding there was actually the one out of Twin Bee Pink, and every year they do the breast cancer thing. Last year it was for Christy Dustin, I think, and then this year I think they've done something for they named her, the foal's name is Twin Bee Amanda Lynn after Andrew's wife that passed away. So that would be kind of cool. He can grow up with her, so she's a really cool foal too. So yeah.
And speaking of that, I'm going to get Curtis to bring up a photo next of you and Jay. Curtis, if you can bring that one up next, and maybe you can tell us, Jay or Travis can tell us the story
Can't imagine.
behind this one. Speaking of the breast cancer awareness, and what a great cause it is.
I'll let Jay take this.
Yeah, my brother's wife was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she battled hard. She passed away this year. Very tough moment for everybody involved, and we did that for her. They were doing a charity auction event, and Travis, being very close, Travis has grown up with me and Andrew since we've run around Flamborough days since we were probably 10 to 15 years old. I mean, we've known each other forever. So it didn't take Travis long to jump on the pink ribbon bandwagon, so it was good of him.
Yeah, and it's amazing. The harness racing community comes together like no other for causes like this, and I think we should give a shout out as well to folks like Christy and Doreen Dustin here in London. They've been doing Harness the Hope for a number of years, and in fact, such a great job with that, and so popular that it was expanded to Prince Edward Island this past year. Samantha Gallant spearheaded that there. You've got folks like Lou and Marie Sorella with their Team to the Moon group that doing great work. So yeah, it's wonderful to see, and we really appreciate you guys doing what you do for the cause as well. Getting back to your family operation, you obviously have some horses, Travis, in the barn that I'm sure are favorites of you and Maddie and the family. And I think one that would probably fit the bill, and she became a bit of a fan favorite in London in the last couple of years. Trotter named She's a Chunky Monkey. Just talk about her. She won a couple of grassroots for you early on in her career in Clinton and Rideau, and she's gone on to be a real good raceway horse for you.
Looks like she's running out pretty good there.
Yeah, defense is a good option. I think the horse. I think that horse was actually running in bad, but either or.
You're probably right.
No, I've driven against Travis 1,000 times.
Funny. So Harris spring for her. She comes up to us and she says, "There's two we want you to. One we sired. She was a full sister to Shadow Play. She ended up going to Brian Brown. She did okay for us in Ohio. And then there was this trotter. She goes, she's just really overweight. She kind of had a long hair. She said, she looks like she's in full, but she's not. Like there's no way she can be in full. So we end up getting her for $6,000. And anyways, I think she won her first start in a grassroots, so she paid for herself right there. So, and then she always seemed, I think she's missed or something in her life. So I think Jay drove her when we were in the Bahamas once for us too. So she was.
I think I win with her, didn't I?
Yeah, in like 2.8 or something. But
yeah, but it was a lifetime mark at the time.
No, it wasn't.
And they don't write the time on the check, right?
No.
And she, what's she like around the barn? She a bit of a pet?
It's my wife's favorite horse. My wife has too many. There's no way we were going to be able to get rid of her. So she's in the backyard for a bit.
Yeah, that's great. We'll talk more about some of the horses that you have in the stable as well. Jay, we want to turn our attention to a horse that posted a big win for you toward the end of 2019. A bit of an unexpected win. He went off at 10-1 in the valedictory final. We're talking about Cheddar Bay for Peter Core. Just your thoughts on this horse. And he was only a 3-time winner last year, but he was a really consistent check getter and always around. And obviously, you came up big when it counted on that night.
He was just getting into gear. He was a late bloomer. He didn't have his head in the game for a long time, and one day it just clicked for him. He became a racehorse, and he won the race.
And going into the valedictory, 10-1, let go a bit of a long odds by the bettors on that night. But did you think that he had a realistic chance to win?
Yeah, I thought it'd be top 3 no matter what. He was actually really good going into it. In the elimination, I buried him up. I gave him an easy trip. We got out late. He was fresh. I didn't abuse him until after that. So I was actually very confident in him, and I knew what exactly I had. So a little luck up front, and they were raced a little bit. And that horse, he just had a wicked last quarter on him, and he didn't give up.
Yeah, and he really ended up working out a perfect second over trip on this night and converted it to a victory. It ended up being close at the end, as we're going to see. So here is a look back at Jay winning the 2019 valedictory final at Mohawk Park with Peter Core trained pupil Cheddar Bay.
What Up Mo showing speed. Winsun Ricky getting into gear as well. Lions Pegasus was driving out. He's going to float, look for a spot inside fourth. JK, NR, like Tell. We'll grab that 4th spot as Winsun Ricky looks like he's a bit of a handful into that opening turn for Philion. What Up Mo's down to the pocket. Virgin Storm on the lead, but Winsun Ricky parked out will drive on through a 26-4 snappy opening quarter. J-Mac and Virgin Storm will retreat to the pocket for the time being. What Up Mo settling in 3rd. JKNR, like Tell, runner-up in both preliminary legs, is sitting in 4th. 5th one away is Captain Cash. Following him, Convoyville. Then it is Dreamfair Charo. He's starting up Cheddar Bay. Following him, Lions Pegasus and the trailer Legion Sealster. Midway point up next, and Virgin Storm does not want to follow Winsun Ricky, and Virgin Storm will now call the shots once again through a half in 56 seconds. Winsun Ricky in second, quickly advancing Convoyville. He's coming fast after that leader, Virgin Storm. Following great cover there is Cheddar Bay. Being shuffled is What Up Mo. Third over is Lions Pegasus. Gapping his cover though right now, Legion Sealster. Then it's Captain Cash. Trailer is Dreamfair Charo. Inside Virgin Storm. Outside Convoyville. Locked up in the pocket, Winsun Ricky. Look at the position Jay Harris has put Cheddar Bay in. He's going 3 wide already. Here comes Cheddar Bay wide off the last turn. 125 and 1 3/4. Virgin Storm trying to fend off Convoyville and Cheddar Bay. Winsun Ricky in behind them. JKNR Lyketel swings wide down the stretch. It's Virgin Storm. Cheddar Bay inching in. JKNR Lyketel furthest out trying to close inside is Winsun Ricky. It is Cheddar Bay and JKNR Lyketel. Oh, is that ever tight? JKNR Lyketel on the outside trying to nose out Cheddar Bay. Photo finish in the valedictory final.
53 and 4 the win time. A bit of an off track that day. Jay, that's a long stretch, isn't it, at Mohawk?
Oh, it's extremely long, and this is one of those horses that I don't think he'll ever win by 10 lengths. He had more in the tank, but he didn't see any horses, so he wouldn't go forward.
And with horses like this, obviously, you know, you're hoping he'll come back good this year, and you'll be back behind him. Do you keep tabs on some of these horses in the off season?
Yeah, some of my favorites I do for sure. I haven't talked to Peter Core about him at all. He's up in Sarnia way, and actually I haven't even reached out to him. So I haven't kept a lot of bases in touch with a lot of the guys around. So we'll see what happens.
Might be a good time to give him a call.
Yeah.
And you know, Jay, you're one of the guys that's really become a fixture at the signature tracks here in Ontario, London, of course, Flamborough Downs, Georgian Downs, and we're seeing more of you. Started to really see a lot more of you this past year at Mohawk Park. So, getting some opportunity there. Is that your ultimate goal to get there at some point?
I don't know if it's an ultimate goal. I think realistically, I'd like to get into stake drives more than anything. I think the biggest thing is if you get the horsepower, you got to drive the horsepower. So I just want to drive the best horses I can right now. I'm not too picky on where I am.
And Corey, getting back to you, you started really full time around 2005, 2006. Like all of you guys, you came from a harness racing family. Your father has been a long time participant, but you didn't get into it at a young age, right? You caught the bug a little bit later on. Okay, it looks like we've lost Corey's audio, so we'll all right, we'll see if we can get that back up and running here. But in the meantime, let's move ahead to another trivia question next. Let's go to our next trivia question, Curtis, and we'll see if we can get that fixed up. Jay had his first career win with a horse trained other than his father, Jack. Which conditioner was that for? Jay's first career win with a horse trained other than his father, Jack, came for which trainer? So Jay early on was driving primarily for Father Jack, of course, a veteran trainer here in the province, more than 1,000 wins in his career. Who was the first horse Jay guided to victory, or the first trainer other than Father Jack when he was first starting out? And again, you can leave your answers for us in the comments section.
Am I back yet, boys?
Curtis, there, it sounds like we've got him
There's
back.
Corey.
We're back.
There he is. So did you catch my question earlier, Corey?
I did. Yeah. So, I was 26 when I started, and which way should I set this? And I just celebrated a quarantine birthday, 42. So I've been driving long enough now, I think.
Yeah. And so you were You weren't into the horses though at the young age. Like you didn't live, eat, and breathe horses like a lot of the young guys in the game. What were your interests?
No, so I mean, growing up on a horse farm, my dad usually, well, my mom and dad worked side by side for my whole life. So, he would be like, oh, hey, take this old gelding out there, like he'll be fine. And he'd run off with me. And that would happen a couple times here and there. And I was like, you know what, this ain't for me. Like these things just want to rock and I'm out. They're out there flagging me down, So, so I just kind of gave it up at that point. And plus, like, I was so much more involved in other things, hockey and soccer, lacrosse. Like there was times when I was playing 3 different sports all at the same time. And, I didn't really have time for that stuff. And horses for me were just work. I had to, if my parents went to the track, I had to, feed them and sweep the barn and stuff like that. And, I used to complain to my parents. I was like, my friends have to take out the trash, and like feed the dog. Like, and here I am, having to do all this stuff. But then like while I was in college, I would work for my dad during the summer. And, one day he was feeling sick at Rosecroft and he was like, hey, can you warm this horse up for me? And I was like, are you serious? Like, you want me to go out there? And he was like, yeah. And at this time, I'm probably, I don't know, I was probably 21 or 22 and went out there and warmed the horse up. And I was like, man, this ain't so bad. This is pretty cool. So 4 years later, I quit my job and decided I was going to be a harness driver.
A little bit different too. An American that's really into hockey. Of course, it's a religion for us here, but you've always been a big fan of hockey, and you were a pretty good player yourself, were you not?
Yeah, if I was better, I'd be playing hockey right now instead of driving horses. But it is what it is.
I guess we're all in the same boat. And you and Travis, I guess, share something in common. You're big Washington Capital fans.
Oh, yeah, you know it. Stanley Cup champions right there, baby. I can't figure out this camera.
Who's your favorite player, Ovi?
Oh, no doubt. He's one of the greatest players to ever play.
Yeah.
One of the greatest goal scorers ever. Ever. Hands down.
Travis,
I will argue with anybody about that.
how does
He
a guy
is the
from
greatest goal
Ontario
scorer ever.
become a Washington fan, Travis?
I don't know. I was always kind of, my brother was always a Toronto fan. My mom was always a Toronto fan. And my dad never cheered for any team other than Toronto. Like the team that would play Toronto, he was a fan of. And then, I don't know. I just kind of started watching them back. I don't even know. Like, I guess right when Ovi got drafted there, I started watching more because he went there and I started watching him play. And then from then on, I just kind of, that's the team that interested me more. So I've been watching them ever since.
Yeah, he's exciting to watch, and they're a great team. I think Carlson's really the engine that drives them now, but Ovi's something else, there's no question. What do you guys think? Maybe just a quick thought, a little bit off topic, but on the suggested format that the NHL is going to try and implement with a 24-team quick playoff round. Jay, maybe your thoughts on that?
I think we just got to get sports back on. Anything that shows any sign of normal life, I'm all for it. It's a big change to do it the way they're doing it, but at least we got sports to watch.
And for you two, is it going to be, how different is it going to be watching that versus the traditional format?
Oh, it's better than watching nothing.
I think it's going to be like March Madness. You know what I mean? The fact that they don't have these long, like grueling series, like every game's really going to count. So, the Caps can't let teams get ahead of them and then be like, oh, okay, now we'll show up and win. They got to be ready from the get-go. I wish they were playing in the first round. I mean, they get the bye, but, I'd rather just see them go ahead and start playing. But it's less chance of getting put out early.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think there's lots of people that have wanted this format for a while too, though, to try it out.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Cinderella
One thing,
stories.
yeah, this situation gives well, every business a chance to try something new. It's necessitated really based on the circumstances. So we'll see. Getting back to racing though, 2015, Corey, a huge year for you. You earned almost 10 million in purse winnings that year. A couple of major stakes victories that we're going to take a look at included the Lynch final at Pocono that year with a filly named Better Be Steppin'. What do you remember about her that year for trainer Joe Holloway, a conditioner you've had a long relationship with?
Yeah, Joe and I have been friends for a long time, and he's supported me early on, and still to this day. I mean, we still text back and forth. I'm hoping he's got some more champions in the wings now, but. Better Be Steppin' was a lot of fun. She was such a sweet filly, nice horse to drive. And she had a good run there at Poconos. She won both of those. I don't remember what the other one is that they have there. But
I think
I
it's
was
the
in
Valley Forge, maybe that year.
the Valley Forge. Yeah, I was in the worst spot possible. Like I should have never ever won that race. And she got out late and made a move that they don't make at Poconos and still won. So she was a fun filly to drive. A lot of fun for me that year.
Odds of 16-1, so this is an upset victory. Let's have a look back. Another big win at Pocono for Corey back in 2015.
The Pacers have reached the backstretch, and they are underway in the Lynch, far outside. The show returns, leaving early, and joining her out there, Mama's Got a Gun, but the show returns quickly, surges to the front past Mama's Got a Gun. Now Stacia Hanover pointed towards the front end as well, followed on the outside by Wicked Little Minx. Inside fifth there, Better Be Steppin', followed closely by Sasa Hanover, a gap to Delhi Beach seventh. At the end, Divine Caroline and the trailer Single Me. Hotly contested pace there at the quarter in 26 even. New leader now, Stacia Hanover steps to the front for Scott Zeron, clearing the show returns. But here comes Wicked Little Minx, the challenge. In behind that second over, Sasa Hanover. As back in the pocket, the show returns. Also in the outer flow now, there is Campbell with Delhi Beach. Inside of her, Mama's Got a Gun. Divine Caroline joins the parade on the outside. Further back to Better Be Steppin' and Single Me at the back. 4 in, 5 out. Stacia Hanover holds the lead at the half in 54-1. 28-1 second panel. Stacia Hanover facing intense pressure from Wicked Little Minx. Great pocket seat there for Tetrick with the show returns. Second over now. Sasa Hanover in striking position for Jingra right behind her cover. Boxed in, Mama's Got a Gun needs room fifth. And now to the outside there, Better Be Steppin', squeezing in between Delhi Beach. Up top, Stacia Hanover and Wicked Little Minx inseparable. 3/4, 121-4, 27-3 on the back. Stacia Hanover working hard. Wicked Little Minx not letting up. Here comes Sasa Hanover out wide. From far back, Better Be Steppin'. The show returns, still waiting in the pocket. Top of the stretch, a wall of horses. Stacia Hanover inside. The show returns at the pylons. Mama's Got a Gun is sneaking through. Far outside, Better Be Steppin' coming up. Mama's Got a Gun. Now here comes Single Me. Who is it? It's Better Be Steppin' and Corey Callahan at 15-1 in a wild and woolly finish. Looks like Single Me second, Mama's Got a Gun third, a bunch of them fourth.
That's the one I was talking about. The one I wasn't supposed to win.
Real entertaining race and finish. Yeah, what's it like? Walk us through that. You're driving one. You're 16-1, so obviously you had to let others try and do the work. But what's going through your mind halfway down the backstretch when you know the fractions are good enough up front? You've got horse, and now you're just sort of praying that you get a chance to use her.
Yeah, I mean, I had the rail. I was really happy with my spot going into the race, and there were a couple others that left out of there and got parked, and I got pinned in. And that actually happens at the Meadowlands more than Poconos, but I kind of ended up in a really bad spot. Get out of here, bro. I kind of ended up in a really bad spot, and up the backside, I was just begging for room somewhere, and you know, Campbell's horse kind of jumped on the left line and started running out there. So you know, I squeezed through there, and she did the rest. I mean, it's a tough move to make at Poconos. You lose so much ground in that last turn, and you know, what she did was impressive.
Yeah. I'll maybe ask Jay and Travis as well. There's a good example. You're driving a 16-1 shot. You know, so there's an expectation that you're going to handle the horse a certain way. How much do you factor in the odds of a horse to how you drive them or your strategy in a race? Jay, maybe start with you.
It plays a big factor. If you got long odds, you're not going to get any respect. So you gotta be a little more strategic. You gotta put yourself in a place to utilize his strengths. Yeah, I think odds make a huge difference. If I'm 1-9, I can float anything to the front and look like a champ, right? So if you got a long shot, you got to kind of try and find the best horse to follow and not put yourself in a bad position.
And Travis, have you ever had maybe I'll phrase it a little different to you. Have you ever had a situation where you kind of drove according to the odds and got fooled, whether you maybe underestimated or overestimated a horse?
Oh, I'm sure that it happens. It happens all the time. You know what I mean? It just, you know, if you jump on a horse and you know you haven't driven them the week before, you know, sometimes you underdrive a horse not because you don't really know them, and then you know it's not a great drive, but like you just don't really horse, right? And then, you know, then the next week it's easier if you get to drive it next week, but you know, then it's easier because you know the horse. But if you don't know a horse and you're going into it and you know, I think if you're anywhere other higher than 8-1, then you just kind of, you know, pick your spot sort of thing.
Yeah. See what you have for next week.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at another big win, Corey, from that 2015 season. Let's go right back to Dudes the Man. First of all, just a thought on this horse. You said he was another one of your favorites that you've driven over the years. Winner of almost 800,000.
Yeah, he was just a cool little horse. You know, the connections, M&L of Delaware, Doug and Rosalind Paul, you know, good friends with them, had a lot of luck with them over the years, and Howie and Jessica Cusco, I mean, they're just good, like, down-to-earth people, you know what I mean? Like, things don't work out, they're like, hey, man, you know, you did the best you could, and that was a pretty exciting win for all of us. I mean, I think everybody really enjoyed it.
Okay. So going into the Adios this year, I believe he was the favorite or very close to it. So based on that, what was your approach? Did you have a game plan going in, and did it go according to script?
Yeah, so my game plan was to try to get him around there without jumping all the shadows. In the elimination, the shadows were terrible. I went off the favorite in the elim as well. And I knew I only had to be, I think, in the top 4 to advance. The shadows were terrible that day, so we just kind of sat in, moved him. He paced home hard, and you know, in the final, we made a couple equipment changes. They didn't really help all that much. I mean, like up the backside, he was jumping every shadow that there was, and then in the last turn, the clouds kind of came out a little bit, and we were able to get some separation, and that was it. So, you know, a lot of good horses I've driven have always been a little quirky with jumping things, but it worked out that day.
All right, let's turn it over to Roger Houston with the call of the 2015 Adios final, won by Corey and Dudes the Man.
For the Adios, Angela J. Fra, off stride. Up and pacing National Sealster, fast out of the gate to the front. My Hero Ron gets away second. On the inside, Cooperstown third. Dudes the Man gets away fourth. Lost for Words fifth on the outside. Yankee Bounty is sixth, trading up seventh. Racing 8, Dreams Beach Boy and fifth on time, coming to the 3/8 mark. Yannick Gingras moved My Hero Ron to the top. Racing second is National Sealster. Third, Cooperstown, Dudes the Man. Fourth, Lost for Words. Fifth, Outside Flow Beginnings. And first up, Dudes the Man and Corey Callahan. As they race into the turn, My Hero Ron with the lead. Halfway home in 54-2, 27-4. Second panel. Out to follow the cover is Lost for Words. Down the backside, My Hero Ron has the lead. Dudes the Man on the outside second. National Sealster third. Lost for Words on the outside fourth. Moving up fifth on the outside. Into the turn, it's Yankee Bounty. Racing sixth at the 3/4, 121-2. And Dudes the Man has taken the lead. Lost for Words second. Yankee Bounty on the outside third with an eighth.
Every shadow you see him like boop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Lost for Words on the outside. Yankee Bounty third through the stretch. Dudes the Man.
I'll ask you about that.
You got a
after
GoPro on?
we watch.
It's Corey
Yeah.
Callahan and Dudes.
That would be an
the
awesome
Man.
video to watch when he's skipping shadows.
48-4.
They have the that 3.
Adios. The pace for the Orchids.
Okay, Curtis, bring me up anytime. All right, so there it is, 48-4. So a little glitch there, the audio and the video not quite in sync, but you certainly get the point. And yeah, Corey, you talked about it, and you could see it visibly there. The horse, as you said, jumping shadows throughout the race, had to be a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you've got a good enough horse. You just kind of got to get him around there, and you don't want him to jump him enough where, like, he impedes his progress. But you see, he paced 26 and a piece up the backside jumping shadows, so he made it around there.
Yeah, he was very good that day. You had the GoPro on too, right? There's different footage of that online?
Yeah, so you can go on. I think it's on YouTube somewhere. I've watched it before, but yeah, it's neat. It's the 360 camera, so you can scroll and see, like, Yannick on the inside and David coming on the outside through the lane, and it's really funny. So for whatever reason, like when I'm crossing the wire, like right before the wire, like I just kind of like threw my hands down and went boom. Like I don't know where that came from, but I don't know what the deal was. I was just like so pumped. I was just like boom.
That's your new thing.
Well, hey,
Yeah, that's
why
my
not?
new thing.
That's a
Boom.
big win.
I just dropped it on you.
Absolutely. That's a big win, yeah. So, yeah, huge year for you in 2015, and you've just kept it going ever since. And right now, we'll take our first commercial break of the night, and we will be back with more of these three in just a moment. And yes, off and pacing, farmgames.com. They will be a big part of our upcoming show this Sunday
Lights in here.
evening. as once again we will have a tribute edition of COSA TV for the Camelot Classic and Molson Pace. So Often Pacing will be putting together a pair of simulated virtual races that are going to be part of the show. And we saw the Ontario Racing COSA new Scratch and Win game that was launched this week as well. And check that out. Absolutely free to play. You can scratch and win every day. Freescratch.ca for more information on that. We have our first question of the night, and we'll get a look at that now. And I think this one is for Jay from JD Varnell. Jay, what was it like driving at the Meadowlands as a catch driver? What was that experience like?
Oh, it would have been awesome if Corey wasn't there winning 8 races a night.
What's the big difference between driving, say, at Flamborough, one of your home tracks, versus the Big M and the Big Mile track?
Actually, the Meadowlands is it's a very different track, even from Mohawk. It's kind of gas pedal right to the floor all the way. Braving up a horse is a little bit trickier at the Meadowlands. They seem to go 4 good quarters, where here we get like a half, and we're swelled up. We're putting brakes on, then we sprint home. And I found down there we were racing the whole time. Like I was getting nice pocket trips, and like just felt like we were pacing the whole time. Like the horses go home and lay down for 3 days after those races.
And there's a big difference, isn't there? Maybe I'll throw this to Travis. From track to track in terms of the style and the flow of racing. You'll see 2 half-mile tracks and one where there seems to be more movement versus the other. Is that something to do with the track configuration, or what do you think causes that?
I think different horses, different classes of horses, but definitely post position definitely like has a big factor. I think like you might have a few horses that a few of the decent horses in the race, they might draw outside, which is gonna probably allow for more speed in the race. And I think post position plays a big factor into the race. Usually, if you have the 3 best horses draw 1, 2, 3, there's probably gonna be they're probably all just going to line up, and then that's going to be there. There's not going to be very much speed, I wouldn't think, but I don't know. It just depends. But yeah, track to track for sure. Sometimes like Flamborough as a slanted gate, 7 hole isn't 7 and 8. You can leave out of there if you have some speed, but like London 7 hole, it's tricky. So.
And Corey, maybe I'll ask you a similar question. You drive at different tracks, and obviously some, where it's a little bit more single file racing and sprinting home, where others is more early movement. Do you think it's more to do with the driver colony at a specific track or track configuration?
I think track configuration, driving colony, it can be a little bit of both, but yeah, I mean, on a half-mile track, like, the same. So, for instance, like the Levian matchmaker, you have your guys at Yonkers, and then you have some guys from Meadowlands or from wherever that come over there, and they all have driven enough that they kind of know the track and know what horses can do over the track. So, I think there's a little bit less movement because of the bank turns. I've been to Flamborough a couple times. I think you can get a little bit more movement early there. Horses seem to live a little bit longer. If you're out 3 turns at Yonkers, you're probably in trouble. But if you're out 3 turns at Flamborough or even Harrington, you can still usually make it happen. Not week in and week out, but for a big race, they could probably do it. But the mile track's my favorite. I mean, if you're stuck parked with cover, usually you're still okay. So
yeah,
I like it that way. And just a side note, I just got I got a text from Jonas Zernisson and said, "You look ridiculous." What? Does he not? I mean, this is beautiful. Look at that. Look.
He's got his playoff stash ready to go for this new NHL
Come on,
format.
Jonas. Guess I won't be getting any drives from him.
Travis, we're going to get a look at your operation here and some footage from your farm. So tell us a little bit about it. First of all, you're located in Embro. For those who don't know, Embro, where is that located relative to some other bigger centers in Ontario?
Curtis says in the middle of nowhere. It's between Ingersoll and Woodstock,
Who's
or
that
if
hot
you want,
girl?
or that's my wife.
Way to
Anyways,
go,
this
Jay.
is oh, he knows.
I know.
Anyways, that's and if
Her
you
putting
don't
it
know
to
where
you.
Woodstock or Ingersoll is, then it's between, I would say, Hamilton and London, I guess.
Okay. How many horses do you have? How many people working there?
We only have 5. We got down. It was just too much from where we are. It was kind of hard to find help, and Maddie massages every day pretty well in the summer, so she's really busy. So it was hard to find help, and I was I drive every night, so it's just really hard to find help. So we just got down. We have 5 horses, and just me and her do it every day.
And Maddie's family, of course, operates Twin Bee Farms as well.
Yeah,
And
Turnby. Yep.
how far are you from that operation?
Oh, 2-minute drive or a 12-minute walk.
Nice.
It's right
So
around
you're
the
over
corner.
there a
Yeah,
lot
it's nice.
with Kingston, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Let's talk about another horse. I was going to say we'll talk about another horse from your operation that I'm sure became a fan favorite in the barn, Meadow Branch Patsy, and we're going to show a win from back in October. It would have been opening night this past fall in London, and one of the fastest trotting miles we've seen in a couple of years at the London Oval on this night, 158 flat. Just talk about this horse and how it came into your care. It started with Aukus Fonstead early in her career, ended up in Prince Edward Island, and then into your barn. How did that happen?
So our owner, Jesse, I think it's a cousin of his that had with him. They bought it at the Meadowland sale, I believe, off of hockey, and they took her out there off break. And then once she was qualified and racing down there, I'm pretty sure Jay drove her Cup and Saucer day.
Yeah.
And she probably made a break, I think, that day. But anyways,
I think I got parked the whole mile.
Oh, either or. Anyways, then she came to Ontario, and I think I qualified her actually in 56 ML. She was really nice. That one she liked to be on seemed to be her forte sort of thing. She did have a ton of speed, that's for sure.
All right, well, let's take a look at her in action. This again is from London, last October 4th. It would have been opening night of the fall meet. And this is a big mile over the London Oval. Shannon Sugar Doyle with the race call.
It's the 8th race in London, starting right now. They're off. Rhythm and Motion from the center, quickly on the outside, and Netto. Rhythm and Motion, match strides into that opening turn, protecting pylon position 3rd. Tattoo Artist getting on by the opening 8th in quick time. Rhythm and Motion has won the early battle.
Oh, we have I think the wrong race. I think it was race 8 that night, Curtis. So we'll see if Curtis can work some of his magic. He had the right night, just the wrong
Curtis
race.
for you.
But
Leave it to
hard
Curtis.
to get good help these days. Well, listen, let's go to our trivia question next then, Curtis, and then we'll come back to that if we can in a moment. We'll try and get that loaded up. Meadow Branch Patsy, and that was October 4th, and I believe it was race 8. So we'll get him to look at that. But in the meantime, here's our third and final trivia question of the night. Travis and Maddie, She's a Chunky Monkey, we got to look at earlier tonight, won her second career start as a rookie in the OSS Grassroots event at which racetrack? And if you were listening closely off the top of the show, You should have caught this. We mentioned it earlier. She's a chunky monkey. She won her second career start as a rookie in an OSS grassroots race. That came at which racetrack? And again, please leave your answers for us in the comment section, and we'll get back to those in a moment. All right. So, producer Curtis, where are we going to go next? Tell me in my ear. We'll go to the next replay. All right, we're going to get a look at a pacing mare that Jay has had a lot of luck with in the last year and a half, and has provided you with some very good races at Mohawk Park, Jay, and her name is Cousin Mary. Now, Cousin Mary spent some time with brother
mare.
Andrew down at Yonkers, where she really blossomed into a top mare and carried that form over here in Ontario as well. Just a thought on her. She kind of seems to be right on the borderline between the preferred level and the class below.
Yeah, she really loves the class below. Wintertime, she can handle the preferred maybe, but summertime, I'd say she's a class below the preferred. But, I mean, she's overcome a lot. She's a great little mare. And
when she's good, she's really good. And on this night, we're going to get a look at a race from 2019. I think it was a career best effort on that night. She wins in 150 and 2:26 last quarter. She the type that you kind of know as soon as you jump up behind her that night when she's got her A game?
No, she's the one type that you go in the post break. She's not going to tighten the line. She'll give you no indications if she's good or bad, and she wants to be driven aggressive. So you have to drive her aggressive to find out if she's any good.
There you go. Well, on this night, she certainly was good. And let's have a look at this race. This is Cousin Mary winning just a notch below preferred here on June 7th of 2019 at Mohawk Park.
Often pacing, Make Mine Mocha fed racetrack by McNair. She's blasting from the far outside, gunning right to the front tonight. Sharp speed from Make Mine Mocha. To the pocket spot is Kloof Street early. Then it's back to Cousin Mary third, fourth Just Her Luck, fifth inside to This Dragon Rocks, and racing sixth is Azure Sealster, bending over to the quarter. Make Mine Mocha to the early lead. Right there, second tracks Kloof Street, Cousin Mary. Third inside, back to fourth Just Her Luck. Then fifth is This Dragon Rocks, and the last one as the field travels by the quarter, Azure Sealster, first panel 27 and 2. Now it'll get interesting. Cousin Mary's on the move. Filion thought about it but stayed put. So Cousin Mary activated by Harris in the backstretch. She went from third to second to first. As McNair grabs hard on grips of Make Mine Mocha, she'll give way to Cousin Mary. 27 and 2 the opening quarter. Cousin Mary to the front now. Back into the pocket position from in second, tracks along Make Mine Mocha. Then racing along from in third is Kloof Street. Fourth one back is Just Her Luck. Racing up in fifth is Dragon Rocks, and sixth inside to Azure Sealster, down to the half in 56 seconds. A pretty sensible speed as they move into the final turn. Cousin Mary's got nothing but open road in front of her. Right there in the pocket position is Make Mine Mocha. Now third outside, and into second comes Just Her Luck, advancing rapidly. Picking up the cover comes This Dragon Rocks. Kloof Street shuffled back to fifth now, and the sixth one is Azure Sealster at three quarters. With the lead is Cousin Mary, though she is pressed by Just Her Luck at three quarters in 124 and 3. Cousin Mary coming into the stretch. She regains that length and a half advantage as Harris goes to work and she responds. Cousin Mary the one to catch now. She's two on top. She's got an eighth of a mile to go. Cousin Mary with that deep stretch, Eye of the Tiger, and she's gone. Here's Cousin Mary, straight and strong, powerful strides into the end as she seals the deal impressively here. Won it by 5. Home in 150 and 3. Her last quarter in 26. She can scoot.
26 on the end, Jay, and it didn't look like you were urging a whole lot. So she must be the type that she must fool you at times, like you said. I mean, she's obviously
she's fooled me a lot,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, she looks like she could jump right up and beat the thirds.
Yeah, just before that race, Jeff came up to me and he said, "I really want to try a lifetime mark on this mare." Said, "I'll give you $1,000 if you put a new lifetime mark on her." So I had a little extra motivation that night to make sure we were pacing home hard.
Absolutely, and she seems as good on any size track too, right?
She's just as good on half as
Northball.
she is a big track. Yeah, she wants to race. Give her an easy trip, she won't go anywhere.
Well, just down the highway at Grand River, he had another big win in 2019. Not a win, I should say, but a good second place finish in the biggest race of the season at Grand River Raceway, the Battle of Waterloo. And you had a colt named Windblown on this day. Talk about the afternoon coming in. You had a good post. You were expected to do well, and it looked like you had a strategy right from the get-go that you wanted to employ.
Yeah, I had the horse that I thought that could beat me was sitting 9 hole, so he's right on my helmet. So my game plan was to keep Bobby behind me at all times. I thought if he got in front of me, I couldn't beat him. I tried him in the elimination, I couldn't get by him. So I thought I just couldn't give Bobby a chance to remove to the front, and it didn't work out in my favor. It was a strong half, so if I could do it all over again, I probably would.
Yeah, it's quite a day, Industry Day. Travis, Corey, you've obviously both driven on Industry Day. Maybe describe the atmosphere, Travis. It's really different than any other day, isn't it? A day to celebrate the industry and thus the name.
Yeah, it's usually very hot, but yeah, definitely there's people watching around the whole fence usually, and you know, I don't know, it's just a great day actually.
And Corey, what did you know about Industry Day? Before the first time you would have come and driven at Grand River on that day.
I didn't know anything about it at all. They just asked me to come up. I flew up with the owner, and when we got there, I mean, they put on quite a show. I mean, it felt like I watched a bunch of races from the grandstand, and there wasn't even anywhere to sit. Like, we had to wait for a couple people to get up to sit down. I mean, granted, it's not a big grandstand, but for that small community, it seems like a big day for them, and they put on a good show.
Yeah, certainly that is the case. It started in Elmira Raceway, a neighboring community, but when the track moved, the race moved with it, and it's become a real signature event here in the province of Ontario for the 2-year-olds. So, again, this is back in 2019. Windblown, an $18,000 yearling purchase, maritime ownership. Tisha Symes doing the training and Jay doing the driving on this day. Had post one to work with, and let's have a look back at that now with track announcer Gary Guy.
Field of 9, the 11th race, the Battle of Waterloo final, and they're gathering speed. Field for the Battle of Waterloo is at the start of the rough. Sports Obsession, wind blown down to the inside. Better buckle up, and a Netto gets out nicely from the second tier to race into the front 4. Beach Blanket Book is on the inside and is racing fifth. And then it is back to Colima and Mr. Cheeseman. The trailing pair, Better Be Swift and Tabloid Writer. Wind Blown's got the lead. Better buckle up on the outside, still parked, and racing third is a Netto. Then it's a gap of about 4. Beach Blanket Book and another 4. Back to Sports Obsession. Then it is Colima. And for the back we go to Better Be Swift. On the inside, Mr. Cheeseman. And to the outside, Tabloid Writer is trailing the field. Windblown and Better buckle up. They are dueling hard. 26-2 was the opening quarter. And the field comes off the turn. And Netto is sitting right there on the inside, racing third as they come to the half, and now is second. Backing away a little bit is Better Buckle Up, is now grabbing third. Beach Blanket Book, and on the outside, Better Buckle Up. And those two are hooked to Better Buckle Up. And Beach Blanket Book hooked wheels, and now those two are back trailing the field. 54-2 is the halftime as they work their way on into the back stretch. Windblown still has the lead. It is Windblown. And now to the outside, Sports Obsession is bursting onto the scene. Windblown, Sports Obsession, and Double J. And a Netto is racing position third as they hustle on towards 3/4 off that 54-2 half. Sports Obsession leads it. Advantage is a length and a half right now. Windblown is second. Sports Obsession now leads by 2 in the Battle of Waterloo finals. They turn for home. Windblown is second, and Netto is third, then Better Be Swift and Mr. Cheeseman. On down the stretch drive, Double J and Sports Obsession in the Battle of Waterloo has got this one and takes it by about 3. Windblown was second, and Netto third, then Better Be Swift at Mr. Cheeseman, 154 flats. Sports Obsession, Jody J.
Yeah, real game effort from your colt, Jay. I know the fractions were a lot more than I'm sure you wanted to go or had in mind before the race, but again, you felt that's what you had to do on the day.
Well, I wanted to take a shot on him. I've never put him on front, and I thought he'd be real good there. He trains awesome when he's on front, and I thought with the rail I could get there and maybe get a soft half, and Louis had other plans. The 3-hole wasn't big enough for him. So we had to go some fractions to keep my spot. He had a 19-1 shot, and I didn't feel comfortable following him. So, I maybe should have let him go and tried it that way. But, you gotta roll the dice sometimes.
James probably wishes you would have let him go.
Yeah. Blake for sure.
Yeah, and the colt, nice big strong looking colt. It looked like he came out of the race okay. What are the reports on him coming back this year?
I heard he's coming back. I'm not getting the drive on him this year, probably because of that race. But yeah, they're real high on him. Apparently, he's going to Mohawk to train this Saturday with Rocket in Heaven. So yeah, I hear they're real high on him. They think that he's going to be great. So he should have a good career.
And speaking of Rockin' in Heaven, we're going to talk a little bit about him coming up as well. Continuing, though, on the Battle of Waterloo theme, Corey, we talked about your trip to Grand River, and that was 2017. What did you know about this colt? You didn't know much about Grand River, but the colt in particular, Scott McEnany trainee named Simple Kind of Man.
Yeah, I didn't really know anything about him other than I think James got him qualified, and he couldn't drive him because he was already committed to drive for Stacy. So the owner, same people that own Dude's the Man, Doug and Rosalind Paul, M&L Delaware, he called and was like, hey, if you're not doing anything Sunday, why don't you come up and drive this horse? And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And then not 20 minutes later, Harder calls and says, hey, can you go drive West Delight at the Meadows? And I was like, oh, man, I already committed myself somewhere else, which, worked out. I got West Delight back the next year anyway. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, when you fly with the owner, it's great when you win, and sometimes it's a little tough on the way home, but we had a good day that day.
Yeah, for sure. You just never know how it's going to work out, right? So when you get there, I mean, how do you get to know the horse? You don't have a whole lot of time. What can you get to know about him before the race?
Scott's a good trainer. He knows his horses. I mean, he's had a lot of good horses over the years, and he told me, he said, listen, if you can get this horse in a spot where he can be first up, he'll win. And I said, that's all I needed to know. I love first up anyway, so here we go. And he was right. I mean, he put it to that horse and fought through to the wire.
Here's Gary with the final quarter of the Battle of Waterloo.
And a late push on the outside from Taste of History. Up the inside, Hudson Phil. And they come to the finish in the Battle of Waterloo. Simple Kind of Man wins the battle.
So that was his biggest payday of his racing career. $100,000 was his share on that afternoon of the $200,000 purse. And there you are celebrating with the trophy that day. So yeah, just I guess one of those pleasant sort of surprise situations, right, where you kind of fall into it and it works out well.
Yeah, I've been lucky. A lot of times, the first time I go to a track I've won, I'm running out of tracks. I can't go anywhere else. So unfortunately, unless I don't know, I guess you could go somewhere, but. Yeah, I mean, that was a fun day. Like I said, they put on a good show, and just to go up there and win that race and enjoy the afternoon, with a friend of yours makes it even more special.
Maybe a question for all three of you to just talk about what you would say is your overall approach to driving, if you were going to describe your approach or your driving style to someone. Jay, what would you say?
I would say I'm a finesser. I'm real good off the pace. No, I'd probably be one of the more aggressive types. Yeah, I just have to say aggressive.
Travis, what about you?
I can be aggressive when I need to be, sometimes when I don't need to be, but I can also drive the other way. I actually like driving horses off the pace better, but some trainers and owners don't like them driven that way, so you have to listen too. So
I mean, maybe tough question to answer, but how much instruction would you say you get from trainers? Is it like 50% of the time? Is it more than that? Less than that? Where trainers really try to give you specific instruction?
I would say depending on the trainer. Like if you've driven the horse before, they don't say anything. But there's some trainers who don't say a word and just do what you need to do sort of thing. And I think I don't know. I love driving for those ones. And then if you drive them bad, you just tell them, hey, give it a bad drive, whatever. It's shit happens. But there's some trainers that understand, and there's some trainers that think they're gonna win every race. But I guess that's just part of the game.
Yeah. And Corey, what about you? How would you describe your style?
I would say aggressive. I mean, aggressive wins races. I mean, listen, we all like to finesse them and be second or third over and swoop them late, but that doesn't always win races, no matter what track you're at. I know the first time I came to Mohawk, I was driving Mr. Wiggles. He had just won the Hoosier Cup. I'm not sure if he drew the 9 or the 10 in his elimination, and I went to George Teague before the race and I said, "Hey man, what do you think? Like we're in a bad spot." He goes, "Yeah, we are." He goes, "But there's no future in the back. You better go on out of there." And we left. We got to the quarter 25 and 4 and won his elimination at 50-1. So it's kind of the same thing. You listen to the trainers. I like trainers that have I always ask them, is there anything I should know, or what do you think about the race? Because listen, I mean, we're all good drivers, but we're not. So little bit of input here and there definitely doesn't hurt. I like to know going in. So for instance, if you're driving one for Blake, you want to know going in what he expects, because if you go just wing it and it ain't right, then, well, dude, I did what you wanted me to do, so you're better off with a guy like that,
Speaking of Blake, we haven't had a question from him in a while. I'm not sure if
he's sleeping. He's sleeping. Oh, Leanne's probably stole his phone. Yeah. I don't know. He packed his phone.
Yeah,
he smashed it at training day.
He smashed it watching that replay.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And Blake, if you're watching, that wasn't scripted. That wasn't scripted. So you took my next question, Corey. I was going to ask you, whether you value, the input or how you approach that. So that was good. We were able to get the replay of Travis winning with Meadow Branch Patsy. So we're going to have another look back at that. Again, this was opening night in the fall of 2019 at Western Fair, where the trotter turns in one of the fastest trotting miles of the season at the London Oval.
Quickest away, Meadow Branch Patsy. She sets the table early. Angel Status, trotting from second, has jumped it off. Angel Status to a break. Also off stride was the 2 Avatar Sealster. 4 of them still down trotting as they roll to the quarter mile. They will follow. Meadow Branch Patsy there. Her lead is 2 lengths. Second best is Raising Royalty, closing up the gap in third. Archway, it's another 3.5 lengths back to No Cuts, No Butts, No Coconuts in fourth. Another 8 or 9 lengths to Angel Status fifth. Trailing the field, Avatar Seals. Their opening quarter was a brisk 28 and 4. It's Meadow Branch Patsy on her return to the races. Last time she made it out for a start would be mid-January here in London. A winner by almost, 13 lengths on that occasion. She'll try to run away and hide tonight. With a lap to go, Meadow Branch Patsy was at the half in 59-2. Raising Royalty is right there now in second. Trotting third is Archway. No cuts, no butts, no coconuts is fourth. Angel Status is with them in fifth and still gapped off. And sixth was Avatar Sealster. Down the backstretch they go, and look at her go. Meadow Branch Patsy, full of trot, has just put 3 lengths on Raising Royalty, who's under urging in second. Archway continues third. No cuts, no butts, no coconuts is fourth. 128-2. That was 29 flat through the third panel. And Travis Henry is still sitting chilly aboard Meadow Branch Patsy, who's looking to go downtown in London. Raising Royalty second best. Archway is third. Meadow Branch Patsy right off the bench and right to the winner's circle. For the Henrys, Meadow Branch Patsy all the way. Second best was Raising Royalty, then Archway. No cuts, no butts, no coconuts.
Big mile, 158 flat, and looked like she did pretty easily. Since then, though, she's been sold, I understand.
Do we lose Travis?
Travis froze up.
Uh-oh.
There
we
can
go.
you hear
Back?
me?
Yeah, I
There
can
you
hear
go.
you.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah,
All
what?
right, so-
Just wanted to get an update on the mare. She was sold since then, correct?
Yeah, she was sold. She went to the States. I'm not sure who she went to, but she's in the States somewhere. So that's all I know.
Pretty good pedigree, so maybe some broodmare value.
Yeah, she
There
might
with
have.
that
She
one.
might be being a broodmare right now.
Another good one that you drove, good overnight horse, and it's ended off the season on a high note. So I'm sure you weren't happy to see racing paused with a horse like Chocolate Swirl just starting to hit his best stride. He was a big winner at Western Fair on March 16th. It was your second last victory, in fact, before racing was put on pause. Just talk about this horse. How good is this horse potentially? Is this one that we'll see in the preferred ranks for the next little while?
I would imagine he's the night I went in 52 with him at Flamborough. Fred told me before I went out the door. He told me fractions ago, and I laughed at him because I thought he was joking. He was just in a dummy claimer at the time. It was his first start, and he says, "I'm telling you, I trained this horse at my track. He will win at 53 tonight," and he went at 52-4. So and he was bionic, and then he had I don't know what happened. He had 3 weeks off, and then he started racing him at London. So that's just where the class went, and I think he's a better horse over Flamborough actually than London. He's a very big horse, so he just gets over it a little better.
Well, he did win in that March 16th outing in London. We're going to get a look at that next. Just an indication of the talent this guy has. Lightly raced out of Mach 3 and really hit his best stride in the last few starts before racing ended. So here's a look back at that March 16th victory at Western Fair, and one of the last horses that we saw racing here in the province for a couple of months.
Eighth of a mile from the start. Picking up speed. Here they come. And away they go in the center. Chocolate Swirl left on out of there. Artistic Pick chased up to sit from second. Traveling third. Brooklyn's Justified. National Debt. Duck and tuck for fourth, and is doing so. It's JIM away in fifth. Avatar J is sixth, trailing the field. Jack of Clubs, single file in the early going. They're all going to chase after Chocolate Swirl here at 9-5 for the two-hole ride. Artistic Pick, tight lines in third. For Brooklyn's Justified, National Debt, a midfield fourth. Opening quarter was 29-1. Next in line, fifth still. JIM, no movement yet in the early going. Up to 3/8 completion, and it's an unchallenged chocolate swirl. Trying for a bounce-back race here. Artistic Pick will get a great journey here in second, eyeing it up from third. Rooklet's Justified. Now National Debt getting underway. National Debt going first up here for Shepherd, and just over a lap to go. Chocolate Swirl on top. Continuing second, Artistic Pick. Brooklet's Justified is still third, out there in fourth. National Debt will grit grind away. JIM trying for some motivation out of fifth. Next to last was Avatar J, and still the trailer was Jack of Clubs. The half just 59 seconds flat, and they've got to catch Chocolate Swirl. He's out there by 3. Artistic Pick is second, flying on the outside and into third. There goes JIM with a big backside move. 126-4. 27-4, all in third quarter there for Chocolate Swirl. Artistic Pick maintaining second. JIM is a traveling third, battling on for fourth. National Debt and Avatar J. Down the stretch they come. Strides are shortening up here on Chocolate Swirl. Artistic Pick trying to make something happen up the inside. It won't, though. Chocolate Swirl on top. For second, Artistic Pick. JIM third.
55-2 off a 59-second half, and made it look pretty easy. So one that we'll keep an eye on, obviously, when racing returns, and one that I'm sure, Travis, you're anxious to sit back up behind. Maybe talk, Travis, about some of the stables, some of the people that really support you driving. A name that comes to mind here locally in this part of the province is the McNiven stable. Scott McNiven and Kim, their operation here, even a go-to guy for them. I'm sure people like that and others have been a big help to you.
Yeah, they've been great for the last I don't even know how long now, but yeah, I started driving for them. We've had a bit of luck together, and from day one, I want to say George Way gave me my first win, and guys here and there, but like Carmen Osiello, I've driven for him I don't even know how long now, and whether I drive them bad or good, like even when I first started driving, he used me, and he still uses me till this day. So him. I drive a bit for Martin LaChance here and there. They're always really good to drive for, and Fred Bourgault, he's doing really well right now. I drive all his. Probably forgetting some people, but don't take it the wrong way.
Jay, you drive for several different clients, obviously. You drive a lot for your father, though. What's that like? How's he to drive for? Is he hard on you? Does he give you advice?
Mellow. He's gotten mellow in his old age. When he was a little bit younger, he was hard to drive for. Holy, we just fought like cats and dogs. There'd be times I'd say, I don't want to drive this horse anymore. I just don't get along with it. He'd put me back down, make me drive it until I got to learn it. So, no, he's probably the best thing for me. I mean, he pushed me all the way through, and he's been my biggest supporter. I couldn't do it without him.
Yeah. And maybe just a thought on Brother Andrew, how he's done south of the border, making quite a name for himself, too.
He went from a groom to one of the best trainers in North America. I think he's got 75 horses down there. All he does is win races. I mean, it's a pretty easy game for him right now.
Corey, do you do much driving for Andrew? Would you drive much of his stock in the run of a year?
Yeah, he's a good guy to drive for. I was driving Pappy Go-Go there right before they shut down in Meadowlands, and he was crushing. I've driven Cousin Mary before when she was down south. Just she was such a cool mare. And he gives me a lot of work. He's a really good guy. So I'm very, very happy for his success.
And I think we've got a question from one of our long-time loyal viewers, Blake McIntosh. Yes, Blake.
Oh, hey, Blake, there he is.
Hibernation. And he's got a question. Wants to know if you guys could win any race, what would it be? Good question.
It is a cute picture.
Jay, let's start with you on that one.
Mine's easy, actually. It's the Confederation Cup at Flamborough Downs. I grew up going to that race all my life. I don't think I missed one of those races growing up. And as a little kid, that was the race I wanted to be in because that was the first time I was exposed to the big crowds. And it was just amazing atmosphere as a kid watching those races. And it's always been in my head to try and get in that race.
Travis, you?
Probably Jays, but like the NA Cup would be pretty cool to win. Like it's the biggest crowd of the year, you know, and it's the biggest race of the year, and it's just I don't know. I think it'd just be really cool to win.
Hey, Corey, we've seen some of your major victories. Which one is atop your list, though, and ones you want to win?
I'd have to go with 3, I guess. I mean, the Hamiltonian, anybody that's a regular at the Meadowlands, I mean, that's a race that you want to win. You know, it's eluded even some of the greatest drivers. So I've been in it several times. The best shot I had was with Bill's man in, I'm not sure what year that was, maybe 17, 18, something like that. He finished second in his elimination. We thought he had a good shot going into the final, and he drew post 10. You know, ended up finishing 5th, place 4th. So that was, you know, kind of heart-wrenching. NA Cup, I mean, that's the race to win north of the border, I think. I've won eliminations with Mr. Wiggles, Lion Somewhere, West Delight, and I think 3rd's the best I've been in the final. So like to win that one. And then Little Brown Jug. I mean, everybody wants to win the Little Brown Jug. It is the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is awesome.
Maybe not this year.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I really think that, I mean, not to take anything away from Vegas Vacation, but, you know, I won the elimination with Resistance Feudal for Blair Burgess, and I followed Vegas Vacation into the last turn. We were clearing, I can't remember who Yannick had on the front, Sunfire Blue Chip or maybe, and he made a break in the last turn. He made a break, made a pretty good skip in the elimination, and, you know, just couldn't make it through that last turn. But I don't know if I would have won, but I'd have given him a good run. So that was, sucks.
Good incentive to go back and give it another try. Maybe just talk about that. You mentioned the crowds and the possibility of racing with no spectators this year at some of the big events. So you know, we're at a point where, you know, there's only a handful of those days in the year now where you race in front of those big raucous crowds. So to not get that opportunity this year potentially, yeah, I mean, it's got to be hard to kind of imagine that. Jay, like thinking of a day like Industry Day, for example, with no people, it's hard to imagine, isn't it?
Oh, it's going to change the game. That's unfortunate, really. It really is, because that takes away from the whole thing. It's the electricity of the place.
And you guys must feed off of that, Travis. You race, you know, in the dog days of winter here, where there's nobody outside and you're out on the track freezing. So when you get a chance to race on a day like that with that atmosphere, it has to energize you from a competitive standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, the drag in between races doesn't seem as long with everything going on, and yeah, like, you know, when you're out there, I guess, I don't know, you don't really notice the crowd, I guess, when you're in the race, but you know, it does bring another, you know, I don't know how to say it, but it is kind of cool to have a crowd for sure. Like that, they said in hockey. I listened to that Spit and Chicklets podcast, and they said it's going to be so hard for the hockey players to, like, how are they even going to get excited to play if we're in front of nobody, right? So
right,
it's a different aspect to the game for sure.
Yeah, some things are meant to do in front of a crowd. That's for sure. So we're lucky in that regard that we have simulcasting in place and distribution all over the world. So that's a good thing. It's a time of year where we're always excited to see the good young horses return to the racetrack and some of the stars of the sport as well. One that I'm sure you're keeping your eye on, Corey, and maybe you can give us an update on a youngster named New Year, who was a Breeders' Crown elimination winner last year. Very close fourth in the final. Do you have a status update on that one?
Yeah, you know, the last time I talked to Krogan. Okay. All right, I'll be right there, okay? The last time I talked to Krogan, she was just kind of lightly racing or lightly training. Cartwheels. Okay, you can do very good cartwheels. That's awesome. All right, even better. She was just lightly training. They actually they bred her this year. I think embryo transfer, so they did that kind of early, and then she's just been lightly training. I mean, she didn't start the. Okay, I see you. She didn't start the last year until really late. Yeah, you know, I mean, she's definitely one that I'm excited. I had a lot of fun driving her. Mom dropped the ball, and she's got a lot of the same tendencies. So the only other thing I did want to say about the crowds is I really feel for Jody. I mean, like, who's he going to high five, you know, along the, like, I think he's going to be, like, going on autopilot, and he'll be down there, like, just going across, like, slapping the rail and stuff.
Maybe we can put some wooden cutouts of people along there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a good point, though. Yeah, this one, you mentioned the mare, Drop the Ball. You did drive her throughout the course of her career as well. She was a good one for Krogan. This one is a daughter of somebody somewhere. What are the similarities you notice between her and her mother, Drop the Ball?
The one thing about New Year is that, you know, she reminds me so much of her mom, and the fact that, you know, she wants to kick a little bit and kind of be a little womanly, I guess, if you should say. I don't know what would be a good word for that on TV. But, you know, she also has that some beach somewhere in her where she can just kind of carry her speed a long ways. Like, Drop the Ball was super, super fast. But she was also a little bit, like, high strung, you know. She had a, like, quick burst, but, you know, I mean, New Year's got the big lungs and just can kind of take it, you know, the way that just seems like she could go all day the way Beach could.
Yeah. Really, really talented filly. Exciting to watch. And here she is in action, winning her Breeders' Crown elimination last fall at Woodbine Park, Mohawk Park.
All up on the gate. And they're off. Good beginning for them all. Charging out of there down the center is Alicorn. Up on the far outside, Lady Lou. Jameson from the inside, protecting position early with Keystone Kalimba. Backed off into fourth goes New Year. Sliding into fifth is Should Have Been a Touchdown. Further back at the inside, Alexa Sky. The early trailers off the press as they make the bend of the quarter pole. McCarthy to the front with long shot Lady Lou. Lady Lou's going to take a back seat to Alicorn. Wah insists that he does. 27 seconds flat that first panel, and it's Alicorn to the lead now as she travels the field to the backstretch. In the pocket spot is Lady Lou. Keystone Kalimba's right there, third. Fourth inside to New Year, just off the speed from back in fifth. It should have been a touchdown. Then inside from in sixth, Alexa Sky. She'll tip and drive, but she's waiting on cover for Dunn. Scooting up the rail in the meantime is Off the Press, and she is a hard-held seventh. Field approaching the midway point. Alicorn dictates the terms of the tempo. She's down to the half in a very sensible 56-1 as she steals away with soft panels here on that lead to the final turn. It is Alicorn. Lady Lou, that long shot in the pocket spot, is second. Here outside into third now, New Year. Keystone Kalimba buried fourth. Moving up on cover, fifth outside. Should have been a touchdown. Then sixth to the rail is Off the Press. Trying to wind up from last, Alexa Sky. They race bumper to bumper to three quarters, chasing Alicorn. The big favorite on top at that third post in 1:24 and 4, 28 and 3, third quarter. And Wah will turn on the jets here now. Alicorn comes into the stretch, leads it by a length. New Year's on the outside second. She's not going away. Here's New Year on the outside, and she sinks her claws into Alicorn late here. New Year on the outside is coming by. Alicorn at the inside into second. Third tipped out late is Lady Lou. Here's New Year. New Year to win it by a length and a half. Alicorn second, then Lady Lou third. Should have been a touchdown fourth, and Keystone Kalimba fifth.
Just one of a very talented crop from this past year. She'd come back to finish fourth in the final Corey, against an excellent group, only beaten 3/4 of a length. Were you happy with her Breeders' Crown showing in the final?
I was. I mean, you know, it's everybody, you know, that doesn't win a race say they wish things had kind of gone a little bit differently. But you know, I thought the way that they mixed it up early, you know, I was going to be in a good spot making that move. But you know, hindsight, I wish maybe I'd have, you know, dropped a couple in and you know, worked out a different trip. But it is what it is.
Again, joined tonight by Jay Harris, Travis Henry, and Corey Callahan. Still time, a little bit of time to get another question or two in tonight. And time once again to have a look at that poll question we showed you off the top of the show. Wanting to know, with teletheaters closed and spectators not permitted at live racing anytime soon, how likely are you to sign up for an HPI bet account if you don't already have one? The options were for sure, likely, not sure yet, or no, we won't be signing up for an account. Still time to submit your answers, and we will come back shortly and recap the question and see the results, and we'll also recap those trivia questions that we've been showing throughout the show as well. As we continue on, speaking of large crowds and atmosphere, few events can rival the Gold Cup and Saucer in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. And Jay, you had the fortune to be in that race a couple of years back in 2018 with this guy, Rocket in Heaven, Chris Tully, who I believe was his first appearance at the time. I met him down there, took this beautiful photograph. Tell us, Jay, what's that like? Very few drivers get to do that, parade under the spotlight in Charlottetown in front of thousands of people.
That is the most electric thing I have ever been involved with. I mean, the whole place goes dark. It's a spotlight on you, and all you hear is probably 25,000 people screaming. And I mean, that horse had a huge fan club, so there was a lot of people just yelling and clapping. It was incredible. I mean, I had goosebumps just going through that post parade.
And you had the rail, and yeah, you had a horse that had a big shot. So it had to be just a really fun week for you in general. Maybe for those who don't know or have never been, what's the week like in the lead up?
Your liver hurts. There's a lot of partying going on. Everybody, I mean, I drove out to the mall, which is about a half hour from the track, and they take your phone number when you they give you your receipt, and they said, "Oh, you're from Ontario, you're up for the horse racing." I mean, you don't get that kind of stuff here. Like, everybody in PI knew what horse racing was, and if you were from out of town, they just assumed you were there for horse racing. The whole week is amazing. I mean, you go on boat parties. It was just crazy. Like, every night, the grandstand's packed. You go into the beer tent just on an overnight card. Everybody's there having fun, exchanging stories. That was one of the most incredible weeks I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, it's I guess like the Little Brown Jug, only it's a week of that. Really, it's the only thing that can probably compare to it. Travis, have you been before? No, we lost him. We'll ask you, Corey. Have you ever been to the Maritimes? And if not, do you plan to go at some point?
I haven't. I was supposed to go a couple years ago to drive Arc Hanover for Dylan Davis at the time. I saw on the thing here, I did drive him in the jug for Casey, and she's giving me shit. I should have given him a shot because I was standing up in the stirrups, climbing over Wiglet Jiglet there in the final. But no, I've never been. It always ends up that it works on the same day as the Empire Breeders at either, I think it's Tioga. So, you know, it's just unfortunately never really worked out. But I would love to go. I mean, everybody that's been says it is the race to be in. So I'm hoping to someday make it.
Yeah. And Travis, what about you? Have you ever been to Old Home Week?
No, I've never been. I've always said I'm going to go, but I've never been. I should probably go do one day. Now it's a little harder with a kid, but.
For sure. And again, not sure this year what the status will be in terms of a live crowd. as someone that grew up in PEI and been there to the Gold Cup many times, it's just hard to imagine it without spectators. So
Oh,
hopefully by August, it gets relaxed to some extent and they are allowed to have some spectators. But Rockin' in Heaven, he's provided you a lot of great moments on the racetrack, Jay. Describe this guy. He's another one of those horses that I think has a bit of a following. Great looking animal on the racetrack and always races at the top level.
yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a horse that looks the part. I mean, you look at this horse and you just expect him to be a good horse. He looks like what you want a good horse to look like. So, yeah, he's got a lot of followers, and he's been one of the greatest horses I've driven. So I've been happy and thrilled to be a part of his career.
And quite a career it's been. He's 8 years old now and almost $900,000 in career earnings. Second that year in the Gold Cup, raced very well. But his lifetime mark came at Mohawk Park, and we're going to take a look back now at this one. And Jay, we'll watch the replay and we'll let you comment afterwards. This is from June of 2018.
Set for a start. Often pacing in the aforementioned Urbana Sealster is the first one to scat off the gate. Coming after him on the outside, though, is Fancourt. Fancourt chased along by Filion. He'd like to make the front, but Houdon issues the same challenge. Pedal to the metal time as they go into the opening turn. Urbana Sealster gets his point across, and that is to drive on and grab the lead. Fancourt grabs the pocket spot for Filion, and with an early tuck into third is Physically Inclined. It's a gap of 2 to Classy Dragon fourth, almost 2 to Rockin' in Heaven from in fifth, and last away is Fool Me Once. Quick quarter and 26 flat. They move to the backstretch. Nirvana Sealster leads over Fancourt. Physically Inclined third, gap of 2 to Classy Dragon fourth. Rockin' in Heaven is the fifth one, and Fool Me Once studies 5 in front of him. There's 3/8. And this is Nirvana Sealster on the lead tonight for Houdon, chopping it out until challenged. Fancourt's in the pocket spot with Physically Inclined right there third. Classy Dragon is content to sit fourth. Rockin' in Heaven from in fifth, and getting underway Fool Me Once from back in sixth. Front end Respect to the tune of 54-1. That second quarter of 28-1 for Nirvana Sealster as he grabs a length and a half separation on pocket sitter Fancourt. Filion shows him the whip to close up that mini gap now. Physically Inclined, Drury revving up the engine and stepping on his gas pedal now as he pops out from in third. Grabbing cover Fool Me Once, then Classy Dragon and Rockin' in Heaven. Up to 3/4 they go. Nirvana Sealster still there, a full length in front now. Pressure coming from Physically Inclined. Fancourt's in the pocket spot third, 3/4 up in 1:21-4 in the end of the stretch. Nirvana Sealster with the lead, but Physically Inclined is bearing down. He's alongside. He's got a head up in front now. Physically Inclined strikes the front. Fool Me Once is closing. Far outside comes Rockin' in Heaven, and Fancourt slips on through. Rockin' in Heaven on the grandstand side, coming after Physically Inclined down to these two. Rockin' in Heaven with a deep stretch rally for Harris to win. Rockin' in Heaven from off the speed clicks over Physically Inclined, then Fool Me Once, and Fancourt in 1:49-2.
Rockin' in Heaven never better than he was on that night, 49-2 from off the pace. Jay, is he a better horse up near the front or off the pace, or how would you describe his style?
He actually tells me, because when we go in behind the gate, if he leaves, he's way better if he leaves. But sometimes he's got a mind of his own. He does what he wants. So there's days that he will not leave, and he'll race just as good. Just leaving his biggest thing. If you can get him to leave, he'll just crush. But just getting him to do it depends on the day.
Yeah, as we saw there, jet black, really good-looking animal, an eye catcher out on the racetrack for sure, and the talent to back it up. We have another question. This one coming from Anthony McDonald. And Anthony wanting to know, with our business changing dramatically, will it change the way you approach racing in the future? Kind of a broad question. I'm not sure if it's talking specifically about the changes that you're going to see initially in terms of the protocols and what's going to be expected. So maybe we'll focus on that, guys. Your thoughts on that? Going to be a lot different when you go to the track in terms of how business is going to be conducted. Corey, from what you've heard and the different protocols, how do you think that's going to be?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I mean, there's a lot of different things to think about. For instance, just from a driver standpoint, what's the interaction going to be like? Are we just going to kind of be secluded off in our own little spot, and then, you know, go out to jump on the horse. And then, you know, from a business standpoint, I mean, a lot of our purses are, you know, derived from slot revenues. So if the slots are down, obviously our purses are going to be down. So, you know, moving forward, you know, how much are the owners going to be able to invest a lot of money in the business? You know, expecting not as much of a return. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of things going forward that we're going to have to work with. But harness racing and our industry, I mean, it's resilient, and I think we'll bounce back at some point.
Travis, what are your thoughts? What are you expecting, at least initially, when we come back?
To be honest, I have no idea what to expect. I just know we have to wear masks, and I think on the really hot days, like, it's going to be very hard to breathe. And we're always, I guess we'll just have to. But
Sorry, you broke up a little bit. You were talking about the masks. And,
sorry, the mask. So yeah, I said it'll be really hot, but I said, you know, we're always going to have to change, you know, when things change. So we're going to have to change. So we'll just have to play it by ear and see what happens.
Yeah. And Jay, just before racing ended, there were some protocols in place already here in Ontario at some of the tracks. There was screening in place, some temperature checks that were being taken.
Yeah.
But there'll be even a step up from that, right? Masks weren't something that was contemplated then. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I mean, Corey brought up a good point. The interaction is going to be different. Like here in Canada, anyways, we bring the bikes up to the horses most times, or we talk to the trainers just in the stalls with them, and I think that's all going to change. I don't know how we do that and stay within regulations. And they're going to rush us in and out. So, you know, our interaction time is going to be cut down dramatically. As trainers, I believe they're only getting an hour in the paddock with a horse. They got to be there an hour before and no earlier. So even warming up horses is going to be a big change. I mean, there's a lot of people, we're getting into stake season, they go 2 trips. I mean, they're going to have to go first trip at home. So there's a lot of changes going to happen with racing, and we're all going to evolve with it. I mean, it's going to be easy for us to do. We're very capable that way. So I think it's just going to be getting used to it, and hopefully it's a pretty easy change.
And if there's some good news, I guess, in Ontario, and Corey touched on it, different jurisdictions have different reliance on gaming to generate the purse revenue. And here in Ontario, now with fixed purse amounts in place, you know, if there's a bright spot to that, it would be in a situation like this. So that's good, at least for the short term, when it comes to that. It's interesting business, a lot of different jobs in the business, and you know, I'm sure there are a lot of fans that sit down along the fence and think, hey, I could probably drive a racehorse. Conversely, sometimes drivers probably think they can do other jobs like call races. And Travis, you tried your hand at this a few years back with a segment called From Bike to the Mic. How did that go?
I can't, if we're talking about it right now, I can't see it very well, but I don't really remember it. But definitely nerve wracking, and it's a lot harder than it looks, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, we've got a little sample. We thought it'd be fun to let people have a sampling and see what they thought. So, Curtis, let's roll the tape from just a couple of years back at Grand River Raceway. A fun segment they did. They had a bunch of drivers come in and try their hand at announcing, and this was Travis Henry on his night.
Number 5, Like Bob Promise. Number 6, All April Love. Number 7, Scratched. Number 8, Strike a Light. And number 9, Leonardo da Lindy. These puppies are ready to rock. And And they're off and trotting. And Jimmy Ellis sends strike a light. Paul McKenzie is in the 2-hole with Matt Bonner. And Bob McClure is in the 3-hole with Like Bob Promised. Sitting 4th is Royal King and Mark Etzel. And sitting 5th is 4th LA and Alfie Carroll. Sitting 6th is Like Bob Promised and Scott Coulter. And sitting 7th is Leonardo Delindy, and trailing the field is Salzbrook Fidget. At the front, we have Dirty Lou and Matt Bonner. In the 2-hole still, sitting comfy is Strike a Light and Jim Ellis. And sitting 3rd is Bob McClure and Our April Love. Coming to the half now, there's single file. And here comes Alfie and 4th LA. Still on the front is Matt Bonner. In the 2-hole is Strike a Light and Jim Ellis. And sitting 5th on the inside is Royal King and Mark Etzel. Here comes Bob McClure and Our April Love. First up, in a shocker. Second over is Alfie Carroll and 4th LA. And on the front is Royal King, still commanding the field. From the backfield now, here comes number 9, Leonardo Delindy. And number 4, Salzbrook Fidget. But this one, Paul McKenzie and Royal King still have the lead. Slimming though, because here comes Alfie Carroll and 4th LA. And unlike the LA Kings, 4th LA wins 2-1 and 1.
It up at the end there.
All right, well, you had some good one-liners. We'll give you that. That's my critique. Not sure if you had the fans on the edge of their seats overall, but
They probably went
Jay,
for something to eat.
what did you think?
I think he chased away every fan in the sport.
Absolutely, I would agree.
It's not as easy as some people think until you get up there. That's
I'd rather
different.
drive horses than call them.
No, that's.
So Ken Middleton doesn't have to worry, and Gary Guy, they don't have to worry about their jobs. That's the good news.
No shit.
It is impressive watching those guys. You know, like if you go up in the booth and watch them. I mean, I've been to Keeneland and watched, Kurt Beckett?
Becker?
Kurt
Becker?
Kurt Becker, yeah. Kurt Becker. I've been up there and watched him. Obviously Sam McKee, I think, was one of the greatest race callers of all time. And, to watch those guys, like they know, they write it down, and they don't even look at the program. They just look through their little goggles and just call it right out. I don't know how they do it, but they're
I don't know
good
how
at what they do.
They do it with like 15 horses and stuff. That's nuts.
Yeah.
In standardbred racing, a lot of guys use the driver's colors to associate with the horse. So, Travis, I noticed in that race you were doing that by nature. So.
Yeah, I think that's what Gary.
Right,
that's the only tip he gave me. So I think I just went with the drivers. I shouldn't have bothered with horses' names. I should just use drivers.
But I mean, how great is it to win when you win a big race and then go back and watch it and have the race call really nail it as well? Must just make the memory that much better for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
100%.
Oh, for sure.
And Corey, you've had the chance in the last few years to rub shoulders from time to time with celebrities, and we found one in the archives here. This is an interview from the Meadowlands Wendy Ross did with you and Emilio Estevez. Can you tell us the story behind that?
So this is kind of funny. I actually busted that one out the other day because, while we're in quarantine, we have all these, we're just like early. I mean, it was just like binge watching because we thought we were just going to be like a couple weeks of, whatever, and then we'd be back at it, which now it's turned into like 3 months. But so for the first couple weeks, I was trying to get the kids to watch like The Sandlot and you know, some of the classics.
Great
so
movie.
we've
Great
seen,
movie.
yeah. So we've seen Mighty Ducks 1, 2, and 3, and I was like, oh yeah, me and Gordon Bombay, we're buddies. You know, they're like, Dad, whatever, you're not buddies with Gordon Bombay, and I'm like, oh yeah, you want to see? Watch this. So I pull it out, and obviously, I mean, you know, it was 20 years later, so Emilio Estevez didn't look like Gordon Bombay in the movie,
Sure.
but you know, I was like, that's him. So we even had to like watch the credits and everything for them to believe me, but it was kind of cool. It's sad that really never that movie really never got going, but you know, for him to be there, like that was neat. It was cool.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look at it. Let's, yeah, here's the proof that you indeed are buddies with Gordon Pompey. This
Wendy
is
Ross
from
coming to you
Hughes
from the
Back.
back paddock here at the
Wendy,
Meadowlands. Joining me is
that's,
Amelia Estevez and our winning driver, Corey Callahan. Corey, we're going to do a little Q&A between you and Amelia. Amelia, do you have any questions for Corey tonight?
Well, you know, I really couldn't see how that last race finished up. I was in the car. I was in the gate car, and so it lost me when you guys came around that last turn. But you did win.
Yeah.
Okay,
no,
good.
I mean, I
I'm
had a
proud
lot.
of you.
Yeah, thanks. No, you know, I had a lot of trot around the last turn, and you know, I was trying to keep Andy pinned in there, but you know, he snuck through. But my horse put through a game effort to stick his nose out and win. So that's what it's all about.
Corey, now I know every driver has a nickname. Can me and you think of one for Emilio for this movie? What could be his nickname?
Oh God, yeah, we have to.
Do you have a nickname? You got something in
My
mind?
sister calls me Mealy Bug. So
I don't know. That's coming up. We have like the French Phenom. He's the Kentucky Wildcat, the Bionic Man,
Right.
the Orange Crush. We're thinking something like that. I don't know.
Billy the Kid.
Billy the Kid.
just the kid.
The Kid.
Yeah.
Let's go with the Kid. I like that.
That'll work.
The Kid.
All right, Amelia, before we get...
What's outrageous is you really feel the speed when you're in that car. You know, it's a lot of times when you watch the races on TV, you don't feel that. You guys are going 35, 40 miles an hour, right? You just really feel that speed.
Any other questions for Corey tonight?
Do you have a winner for me in the next?
I don't know about the next. That was my best shot tonight, but hopefully I can pull one out here sooner or later. All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, Amelia, thank you. Corey, good luck with the rest of the night.
Thank you so much.
So they couldn't recognize him, and I'm not sure I'd recognize you, clean shaven.
I know, back then without
Yeah.
the stash.
He's a big race fan, is he not? Or a pretty definitely
Yeah, I think
a
he
good
is,
middle of the
yeah.
road fan.
He knew what was going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, that's cool. And yeah, we had Montreal Teague on a few weeks ago, and we had a clip from his brush with Regis Philbin, which was it was a lot of fun to watch.
Oh
as well.
yeah, that was cool.
Well, again, we want to thank the guys for joining us tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Jay Harris, Travis Henry, and Corey Callahan. We're going to recap our trivia questions before we wrap things up tonight, and we'll see how you did along the way this evening. And Curtis is just loading those up. We'll have a look at our poll question as well. And I want to remind you, we've got a fun show coming up this Sunday night. It's going to be a tribute to the Molson Pace and Camelot Classic. Would have been held this weekend, only for the race being canceled this year, but it would have been held this weekend on Friday night. So we'll recap that, a trip down memory lane this weekend, a couple of virtual races that are being put together by Ryan Clements and his company. So that's going to be a lot of fun this Sunday night on COSA TV. We are ready to go and recap our trivia questions. Well, we'll start with the poll question, first of all. Let's do that. As racetracks return to live racing ahead of other major sports, well, it's the wrong question. That happens. We wanted to know if people would be likely to sign up for an HPI account. That was the actual question. So let's go to trivia
Curtis, what are
first.
you
Live
doing?
TV, it's beautiful. How many drivers are there in the $100 million club? We talked about that off the top, as Corey is set to join that club fairly soon. There are 24 members currently, so it's a very exclusive club, and he's about 7 million away at this point in time. Our next question. Wanted to know which conditioner gave Jay his
People's Princess.
first career win outside of a horse trained by his father, Jack, and it was Shane Acton. and a horse called People's Princess back in 2005 as Jay was embarking on his driving career. He had a win or two under his belt prior to this for his father, and Shane Acton gave him his next winner that year with People's Princess from 2005. And our final trivia question, wanted to know which track She's a Chunky Monkey posted a victory in her second career start. It came in an OSS grassroots event, and that track was Clinton Raceway. Later in the year, she would notch another OSS grassroots victory in Ottawa at Rito Carlton Raceway.
Nope.
And I think we're going to have a look at the poll question again. There it is.
Nope.
With teletheaters closed and spectators not permitted at live racing for the foreseeable future, how likely are you to sign up for an HPI bet account if you don't already have one? Pretty close. 36% said they are definitely going to do so. Another 20% are very likely to do so. And about 44% is
Still
kind of
on
on
the
the
front
fence
is Matt Bonner.
as far as setting up that HPI bet account. So thank you for taking part in that and in our trivia questions. From all the correct answers tonight, we're going to draw one name at random. We'll post that on the Facebook page, and you will win a $25 COSA gift card. So, gentlemen, thank you again for taking a couple of hours and joining us. I know you're all anxious to get back to racing soon, and we want to wish you all the best.
Thank you, Greg.
Can't wait to see you guys.
Thank you. And don't forget that coming up again this weekend, we have a special edition of COSA TV, another Hoofbid online auction coming up as well this Sunday night. Here's a look at that Sunday night lineup. I'll be joined by Greg Gangle and Shannon Sugar Doyle, the voice of the raceway here in London. A pair of simulated Camluck Classic races are being put together. One will be comprised of 8 past champions, and another one will have a simulated field of current free-for-all pacers that might have been here for the Camluck had it taken place this year. So we're looking forward to presenting those 2 races to you that night. We'll have some replays of past Molson Pace and Camluck Classic races. There have been many great ones over the years. A look back through the photo gallery and a whole lot more. That's this Sunday night at 7:30. Don't forget as well, Hoofbid online auction coming up again this Sunday night. It's free to download from the App Store or Google Play. So check them out at hoofbid.com. And if you enter and sign up for your account now, you'll have a chance to win $1,000. So thank you so much again for joining us tonight. We hope to see you again this Sunday evening, and enjoy the rest of your week.
COSA, the Central Ontario Standardbred Association, proudly serving Ontario horse people with integrity and accountability. Collaborative, supportive, helping to ensure a vibrant harness racing industry. Lifetime membership is free and there are many benefits. Become a new member today. COSA, representing the interests of horse people racing at Ontario racetracks. To find out more, visit COSAonline.com.